Good.
We're just
Y'all good?
horse chatting.
All right, ready, set, go.
Yep.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the regular meeting of the Milton Equestrian Committee for Wednesday, September the 18th, 2024 to order. The time now is 6:32 p.m. As I call the roll this evening, please confirm your attendance. Nan Buckner.
Here.
Teresa Jarmus. Here. Mac Plummer is on his way. Shannon Regan Quidley.
Here.
Tony Rich is here. Carson Seville is not here. And Julie Shannon.
Here.
All right. For the record, Carson Seville is not here. Mac Plummer is on the way, and we do have a quorum. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our next item on our agenda is the approval of our meeting agenda. If there are no changes to the agenda for this evening, I would like a motion to approve the agenda for tonight.
Motion to approve.
All right. First from Ms. Shannon, second from Ms. Nan Buckner. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, the agenda is approved. The next on our agenda is the approval of past meeting minutes. If I could get a motion and a second to approve our meeting minutes from the August meeting, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
All right.
Second.
All right, I've got a first from Ms. Buckner, second from Ms. Regan Quidley. All in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, the minutes from last month are approved. Emily, do we have any general public comment or any public comment on any agenda item for this evening?
We do not.
Well, good. Well, in that case, then we will move on. For the record, Mr. Plummer's here. Welcome. Next item on our agenda is our staff update. I will welcome up outdoor recreation update from our Parks and Rec Committee to start out. Got Ms. Young. Welcome.
Hi, Jen.
It's so good to be welcomed. You have the
Here.
clicker?
NBC. That one. Thank you.
Return.
You send that to me.
How are you?
Okay.
Good.
Hey, buddy.
Did you get my text?
Thank you.
All right. I came to you maybe 2-3 months ago and I shared loosely off the record a vague idea of what I might want to do with this committee to educate the community a little bit more about horses, living in an equestrian lifestyle, and helping kids connect better to the horse farms in Milton. I came to you today with a formal plan, and I'm hoping that you'll give me feedback and then maybe something we can execute together. So what we have currently is our Junior Ranger program. Maybe.
The Wheel of Death. Yeah, I noticed there's no internet connection. I don't know if that's, I don't know if the network's out.
We have a new network.
Can you type in the password?
No, it usually always self-connects, but it's not.
We
You have to connect it like it used to.
got to have just enough technical difficulties to keep it interesting, Jim.
You know it.
You got to keep it fresh.
I'm not afraid of a good challenge
It's an easy
here.
crowd.
Well, good. You get a tour of our website while we're at it. All right. So 9 months ago, we created a Junior Ranger program. It comes with a book that is intended for families and youth to go through on their own in our parks and in their backyard. In July, I hosted a Junior Ranger Academy where Ranger Jen went through the entire book with you in a 4-part series. So we did a fishing program, we did a macroinvertebrate program. I brought in Sandra, our city arborist, and she did a tree walk with us. And then we also did a wildlife hike. So that's what this book looks like currently. I'm just kind of scrolling through it quickly. I have a couple tangible books for you to hold. It's been really successful. We've gotten a lot of really great feedback. They love the idea of seeing a ranger and being a ranger. So sometimes I'll put on my hat. We'll put on dog and pony show for you folks. And it's been really successful. And so my concept for you guys is to take this book and create a second edition that would be equestrian friendly. There are a million examples out there, none of which are going to meet Milton's needs. We'd have to recreate this, but we could take elements from your ideas, other people in the equestrian community, and then we can formalize that and make it educational. So I can help with the education piece and making it kid-friendly, crossword puzzles, coloring sheets. You're here to be equestrian experts. So this is a book that I found, again, this is about wild horses, not the ones that we would have in Milton. But it's a concept. And so my plan is every 2 years to refresh the Junior Ranger program with having a pond ecology, possibly doing one that touches with just trees or just native plants, gardening, just connecting kids to nature. I know that we struggle in Milton connecting non-equestrian folks to equestrian lifestyles. And if we can tap into kids and families first and helping educate them and connecting them, I think we'll do a whole lot better in the long run with making something that you guys feel is representative of Milton equestrian community, and then also helping those that are not part of it feel like they can be a part of it, right? So this is just a concept. What would be next after creating a book? We would create the concepts, the ideas. Maybe we would put in there the types of horses, the styles of riding, because I learn every day. I love learning what is dressage. I had no idea before moving here, I'll be honest. And I'm sure there's other people in the community. How to care for a horse, that's super important, which I think leads into Shuba's piece of, how do they live? What kind of land do they need to be on? What do they eat? Why is that important to be aware of? You don't go to the fence and just give them carrots or whatever you want. Horses may have a special diet, and why would they have that diet? And then that also goes into the types of equipment. This would then lead into a Junior Ranger program where you guys would help connect me to some horse farms that wouldn't mind taking groups on tours, where we can show how that equipment is used, what the feed looks like, what kind of land, what's the structure that they live under. And that place could offer lessons. Hey, if you want to come back for a lesson, we'd be happy to do that for you. So I'd like them to be youth friendly. I want it to be not a one and done, where if the families want to stay connected to that establishment, they could. So they would have to be open to that. So phase one would be writing the book with me, giving your feedback, making sure that it fits Milton. And then part two would be helping me create partnerships.
Would you use the same template?
No, we could give it a new look. We could freshen it.
I mean, I like it. I was just
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah, I mean, we can do anything. We
I
can,
think your template's right on the
I
mark.
like the template, so we could take
Okay.
I like
that
your
and
logo with
just-
the horse. That's
yeah.
pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that's
yeah, I know, right? That was Milton, or
Horse.
can you bet? Thanks.
What age range do you target for junior rangers? What age range?
So for the first book, it's more like first grade to sixth grade. I could do a more advanced book in the future for middle school and high school. And that would probably be project-based learning. So the pilot was just this. So it could be younger kids, older kids. We could target a demographic. Good questions. I like it. Keep them coming. What do you think about the partnerships with the facilities? How do you think that'll go over?
I think the idea is really, really good. The problem is with so many neighborhoods being built, we've lost a lot of the equestrian facilities that actually had academy programs. And as you're talking, I'm thinking, wow, there's two farms I could really think of that would really do this. One is super exclusive and quite expensive, and the other one's not.
Right.
I think we could probably do a partnership with those kind of places.
Yeah.
But there's just not that many of them anymore.
Okay.
You know, you could also throw special equestrians into the mix, and the kids could see, you know, what does a therapeutic horse do?
Yes, I love
Things
that.
like that.
Well, a good thing to tie into too, I think, would be like the Girl Scouts, they have to earn a badge.
Yeah.
You know, you could offer that kind of thing where they just come to you for those things to
Right.
qualify for their badge. Because I don't know that, I've been so not involved in scouting for a very long time, so I don't know how that works anymore. But I know that would be a good feed for you as well.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I do this junior ranger book with scout groups, Girl Scouts,
I meant special equestrians, not safe and horses.
special equestrians. Yeah.
And she is in Milton.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so is Iron Horse.
And they have the therapeutic riding programs for autistic children. That might be a fun place for them to go see.
Agreed.
Oh.
And we've kind of talked about creating this Rolodex where if someone calls, we can give them their options, right? If you're looking for this, this is where you can go. So that also ties into that. This would be more of a contact for me where I can call and say, hey, I've got a group. Can I schedule you out?
Yeah.
When, what meets your timeline?
I think
And-
you would have a lot of success regardless of the
Okay.
age range that a barn caters to,
Yeah.
of being welcomed with a group of young people to come out, and
That's what I'm looking for.
visit.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be the highest level of competition, and that barn, I think, you guys know better than I will, they would still welcome you and love to have you come out and see what they do and, see their horses. And, it's when you go to the next level of saying, hey, my 6-year-old would like to learn how to ride. Can you help me? I think that's going to be a handful. And as you know, as we all know from Crabapple Fest, that's one of the most common requests we get is,
Yeah.
where can my young child learn to ride a horse? And that's a challenge. And I think you're right. I think a lot of those farms are gone. I got to believe that they're out there. I mean, they've got to be out there. I'm not sure if they're.
Oh, you can
Milton.
go to Windsor tomorrow.
Yeah.
You can go to Windsor tomorrow, but, it's going to be really costly.
But I'm sure you could call Juliet Johnson tomorrow and have your 9-year-old learn how to
Exactly.
ride. I think there are
Yeah, I think
programs out there.
Juliet would be a good
Yeah.
contact for that
Be a
as
great
well.
person,
Mhm.
could be.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she would love to be a part of this.
Awesome.
But this was fantastic.
I love it.
Yeah.
So what I'll do next is I'll kind of lay out maybe some categories you can help me fill in the details and then explode it with, hey, you're missing this. Hey, let's talk about the therapeutic piece. What do horses do? I mean, we also talked about the emotional relationship and, healing horses. I hear a lot when I'm out at Birmingham. So I think there's lots of little nuggets. My plan is usually to keep it under 20 pages. Anything beyond that, they're like snooze. So making some of them just coloring sheets with information that they can learn, and some of them will be problem-solving skills. Put
If
the food with the right horse or the outfit and the saddle with the right style, things like that is what I'm thinking in my mind. So.
And I think if you work with Greg's department, I do the Ask the Equestrian thing every month.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good info if you can go back through what those are. Like I just did the one about, how do horses deal with temperature changes, hot and cold. So there's a lot of really good info there that you can,
Yeah, like little nuggets to pull out.
yeah.
That's cool. That's good advice.
But if you could come up with a starting point, something that the committee can spend some time on and brainstorm on. I mean, from our committee's perspective, I mean, in my mind, this falls right in line with community relations and, it seems like all these projects get delegated to Nan and Teresa, but
Well, it's just a good thing you have me on the committee, I
yeah,
guess.
it's like, this is such a great fit.
Who's on facilities?
What's
Who's in charge of the facilities
Julie.
committee? Okay, so I'm coming next month with a proposal. That was the other thing I was going to launch into this. whenever scouts want to do a project in Birmingham. I met with 4 or 5 equestrians when the scout installed our pollinator garden. And the feedback that I got from them was super grateful. And they were like, we love the stuff you do, but then it gets placed in a place that's not convenient for a horse rider. And I went, you're right. We're not going to install anything without the equestrian committee being able to see what it'll look like and give feedback of, no, a horse doesn't want to walk by that, or that's in the way of a horse trailer, things that you're going to have to help think through for the community. So I'm just teeing up anytime a scout wants to do a project in that park, or we do an infrastructure change, I'll bring it to you, and you'll have a chance to make sure I don't make that mistake again.
Sounds great, Jen.
Cool. All right.
This is amazing. Thanks for sharing this.
Yeah,
with us
really
and
great.
Including us. I think we would be very excited to help you any way we can.
I'll leave you some books. I have more. They get a badge. To your point, so they get a badge when they do, and we give a whole ranger ceremony. I should have teed that up.
How cool.
PRAB, they go in front of PRAB and they say a pledge, and it's basically to, protect Milton's environment and be good stewards of it, right? And then they get awarded their badge. It's a really adorable ceremony. So my plan for you guys would be, that's what would happen at your committee meetings. They would come, they would get their little equestrian junior ranger badge,
That would be so wonderful.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
now we
it'll
have
just
to
be
do
like
it.
a nice
We
treat
100%
at the
we
beginning.
have to do it.
And so they will get something for completing it.
Amazing.
Oh, this was good. I mean, everybody talks about trying to get the young generation involved.
Look at how cute
That's
that
so awesome.
is. Oh my gosh.
Cool.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Jen.
Jen, for being here. We appreciate it.
No problem.
Milton Junior Ranger.
That's really cool.
I love the logo, Jen.
I do too.
love it.
Everybody
He's got the horse has a ranger hat on and he's smiling.
I love it. You could
I
use the
kind of have
same.
a vision of like Yogi Bear and
So cute.
Boo and Mr. Ed, and I'm not sure who else, but it's kind of a combination.
Pass
It's
that
pretty
one
cool.
down.
It's a nice book.
That's real good.
Nice booklet.
Right now.
Wow.
These are a great idea.
This is a good idea. I think that's something as a committee, I always think about, like, how do we get younger people involved?
Mhm.
I mean, there's gonna be people out there that just naturally want their kids to ride.
It's
and they're
really
willing to
nice.
buy horses and saddles and get them lessons and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, there's a lot of people out there that, maybe if they knew more about it, they'd get involved. And there's a lot of things out there that people are aging out of, and there's not a younger crowd following up with them. So I think this is a great way to do that. So I like the fish. All right. Anybody have any questions or anything else?
No, I think that's great.
Thank you, Jen. We appreciate you
Thanks a
being here.
lot.
All right. Next on our agenda is update on a large lot incentive projects. Ms. Shuba from our community development. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. The floor is
Hello,
yours.
Good evening, Milton's Equestrian Committee. I'm Shubha Jangam. I'm a principal planner at the city. And it's my pleasure to be back in front of you again. I was here in May, and I think I kind of introduced how our department works, if you remember. Today, I have an update on a project that we started early this year. And this project, it's large lot incentives, we call it. And this is a project from comprehensive plan. We are doing this project in-house, which means no consultant. It's just us doing it. I don't know if I click it, it goes further. Okay, good. Today I want to go over some of the background of this project, how it got started, goal of this project, and then some of the considerations that we have given to some of the incentives, including, not including, but I'll talk about it later. What are those incentives? And I'm going to touch base a little bit on ag use exemption in Milton and everybody's favorite stormwater BMPs. I think Carson's gonna miss this. He is an expert on stormwater BMPs.
No question about it.
And then last but not the least, I have something for you to consider an opportunity for Milton's Equestrian Committee to contribute to the community in a meaningful way, just like Jen was doing. And this is an exciting part, but I hope you will wait for it in just for a few minutes. So to get started, as I said before, our comprehensive plan 2040 was adopted in 2021, and it kind of told us that we need to incentivize large lots even further. Okay, so that was our guide from comp plan, and then it was shortlisted in short-term work program as a project. And so we started looking at how can we incentivize large lots, and we assessed what incentives we already have on the books, and it turned out that we have some incentives to create new large lots. So we said, okay, they are working perfectly fine. So our focus shifted on people who currently own large lots, and how can we assist those property owners in maintaining their agricultural lifestyle. So the goal of this project is to help the current property owners and not the developers who are trying to create large lots. We have looked everywhere. We have literally have no stone unturned. It's me, a zoning manager, many other people have helped me look in many directions to find new opportunities to enhance our zoning code so that the large lots can benefit. In July, I went in front of mayor and council, and I presented a couple of incentives. I call them opportunity 1 and opportunity 2. These are just proposed, like a staff proposed incentives, and the first one, as you can see here, is for properties greater than 5 acres. I told them that they should consider allowing accessory structures such as shared greenhouses in front yard and a guest house in the front yard. And this is because most of the big properties, they're not perfect rectangle. They are like polygons, flag lots, you name it. And so it's really technical backyard, front yard. So, and they really loved this idea so much that, they were like, okay, this sounds like a really great incentive for large lots to allow them in the front yard, because we don't allow accessory buildings in the front yard currently. So they love this idea. And so we have been given directions to move forward with this incentive.
Wow.
And then the second opportunity or incentive that I suggested in that meeting was for properties greater than 10 acres. So right now, if you want to get a covered riding area or lighted riding area on your property, you have to get a use permit. So this incentive was to let them have it by right, instead of going through the hoops of public hearings and red tapes. That was the idea. Obviously, we were looking to get more regulations, not just like give it a by right, but streamline some regulations into the code. Also, I had suggested that maybe they can come to MEC here to get some guidance and things. But the council has not on board completely for this idea. They had little concern for lighted cover area. So I was asked to do little more research, more evaluation. So that's what I'm doing right now, more evaluation of this idea. And if you have any feedback on this
I can
one.
give you some feedback.
Of course,
An
yes.
outdoor riding arena will have far more light pollution than an indoor riding arena. When the roof covers the lighting, it does not glow as far out.
Okay. So you like covered and lighted better than not covered and lighted.
Correct.
If it's
Yeah.
not covered and lighted, it is going to be
It
like a
is a-
baseball field. It's going to shine for.
Okay. That's a good feedback. Anything else? But when I was actually reading through stuff, use cases or case studies, I felt like the covered riding arenas or lighted riding areas, they tend to become commercial mostly. I don't know if you agree with that or not. No. Okay.
No.
Because they become pretty expensive to build, and then they kind of become commercial, and then comes a parking lot, and then comes everything else.
What do you mean
No.
by commercial?
No,
A commercial means for profit, right?
no.
Yeah, but like I've
I
got,
have a lighted ring.
yeah, I've got a covered riding arena, and I never have more than 5 or 6 cars at my barn at any given time. I mean, it's never crowded.
Okay. So you are saying you would rather support this idea if it's
Oh,
covered
yeah.
and lighted together and not just.
100%.
Okay.
I have a lighted arena. It's my private barn. I don't board anyone's horses. It's my ring. It's my house. I have LED lights. There's
What?
a lot
You
of
have
trees
LED
around my
okay.
property. You can't tell my ring lights are on from the road. I mean, it's not offensive at all, and there's no traffic. It's not a commercial facility.
And do you mind asking me how big is your property?
My property is almost 7 acres.
7 acres. Okay. See, I thought it was a great idea, but they had some reservations about it. They wanted to think through it.
Well, it's also
because-
not as much light as like a ballpark. I mean, I have LED lights too, so it's not like those, what are those big beam lights? That if you turn them off, you can't turn them right back on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think those.
Well, but most of the lights,
halogen,
like
yeah,
in my
she's right.
barn, they're way up high and they shine down. You know what I mean? So they're not shining like
Yeah,
a
they're
ball.
not shining.
Mine are
out.
Yeah,
pointed
yeah.
down to the sand. They're not like,
Yeah. Of course,
you
we
can see
have
it
a
in
night
baseball.
sky ordinance, so we don't allow any wave go up.
right.
So, okay,
Yeah.
great. Anybody else want to have a feedback on the previous slide?
But I like the idea of it being by right. I mean, if the
Mhm.
property's large
Yeah,
enough,
if
I
it's
think there's
big
a lot
enough,
of
I
common
thought
sense there.
It was a
Mhm.
great idea too. Then, as I said, during this project, this came up again and again, agricultural use exemptions. So we decided that we should kind of take a closer look at this and maybe streamline our policies and procedures on this one. So let me tell you what we decided to do. We first decided to make sure we have a good definition of agricultural use. So I'm just going to read this. Agricultural use, including agriculture and agricultural operation, means the commercial production of livestock, poultry, animal feed, grain, plants, trees, aquaculture, and or horticulture, including those practices involving establishment, cultivation, or harvesting for sale of products of the fields or orchards, the preparation of planting for pasture land and livestock, and poultry management. So all that is included in agricultural use. So once we have this, and this is actually from the state. So we just borrowed this definition from them. And based on this definition, we decided that agricultural use exemption would be a waiver from certain land development requirements for the agricultural uses that qualify for such exemptions based on the requirements stated in the application. So we're going to have a formal application form, and if you meet all the requirements and you're really a commercial agriculture, as the definition said, you probably will meet it. Then you will get more relief on land development requirements.
Can you go back one slide to the
I wish I
definition
can.
again?
Can you just, yes, thank you.
Oh, there you go. I'm trying to figure out like, okay, production of feed. Okay, I get that. And then at the very end, it says in livestock and poultry management.
Yeah.
So would you consider a farm that boards horses part of this definition?
I would if it's a commercial, and what we are at the agricultural exemption is the form we are going to talk streamline is going to have a requirement where you show your business plan and your there is a gate number and all those things. There's going to be a certain number of requirements that you need to meet to get this agricultural use
Does it have to be
exemption.
commercial?
Yeah, that's what the definition, the previous definition
Yeah.
said.
So why, if
Why are
if
we
a
asking
person
hobby
had
farmers to move?
20 acres and had 10 personal horses, why would they not be afforded the same relief as if someone was charging for the board of the, I mean, in theory, is there I mean, other than that one's for profit and one's for personal use, is there really a distinction? Because one property in theory
The
would look
state has
exactly.
kind of created that definition and distinction. It's,
Okay.
and we're just trying to borrow it. And I know based on these tricky things, a lot of people are probably not going to meet this requirement.
No.
And I know there was a big discussion on this
Yes,
at
we
the
did.
council level, what, a year or two ago?
Yes.
But if someone boarded one horse, would they be qualified as a commercial barn?
I don't know. So that's why we had that definition and the requirement of exemptions. And for now, I see that most of the Milton residents, there will be anybody rarely that can meet that
Yeah,
definition.
no one's
of
going to
exemption.
qualify for that. There's no commercial chicken farms here.
I know. So that's it. That is the reason we are actually looking into how can we at the staff level look into some more details and come up with some relief that is not going to, jeopardize our licensing with the state.
Right. But
So
I would encourage you to, think about the spirit of what we're trying to accomplish, right?
right.
If we only want to encourage commercial operations, then the language sounds great. But if we want to encourage private ownership of farms, hobby farms, I mean, a hobby farm can be 15 acres and have 6 horses and be a beautiful, farm, but not have $1 of revenue coming in as a commercial business, right? I think we want to, as a city, encourage that type of building and development just as much as you may want to encourage something that's a for-profit business, right?
Yeah, I agree. And that's why we are, without jeopardizing the city's stormwater license, we want to come up with some of the low-cost BMPs as a help. So we are a team of city engineers and land development manager. They are actually working right now to create these design guidelines for everybody, pretty much, right? So also looking into a program that gives credit for existing impervious areas. They are looking into giving a waiver for runoff reduction for justifiable sites. So this is really technical, and I'm not a really city engineer who's expert in stormwater management. So that's why I have delegated this whole area of discussion to city engineers and land development managers, and they're just helping me come up with incentives. So next work session, which is going to be in October 14th. If you can tune in to Mayor and Council, we will do some update to Mayor and Council talking about what did we find in these areas that is helpful for us as an incentive. So I can email you back when we are ready to go to Council, but we're working on this one right now. As part of this large lot incentive project. Any feedback on this one?
I think this is really good. I mean, this conversation, it's been going on for a while, and you guys have been very willing to share with us, a lot of the issues and questions that seem to come up. And so we appreciate the opportunity to, get involved in that. I talked with our city manager earlier this week, and I spoke with Carson as well. And I know we're trying to organize a work session of some sort with you all in community development, hopefully in the coming weeks.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to sitting down with you guys, and hopefully we can get some of these questions answered.
Right. And the most exciting part, this is what we are actually looking to do. We think that MEC could really add value if it could create a guide for Milton residents, a guide for agricultural and equestrial practices in Milton. And this could be, 4 areas in general. This is just my idea, but it's up for exploration. There are some things related to land. When do people do grading? When people build new structures, building something that's related to just purely farming or trees, and something that's related to raising animals, right? So those are just generally 4 areas we can look into, but this guide could be a guide for people who are doing agriculture as a hobby, maybe, or maybe commercial, but we can come up with a real guide that's helpful for people to, whenever they are doing something that they can just refer to. What do you think about this idea? This is just an introduction of an idea today.
Thoughts?
Oh, I think Carson had kind of been trying to work on something like a guide for people that are building. So I think that falls right in line with that.
Yep.
No, I think this would be a real value added, concept that we could help you develop, and it would be really beneficial.
Yeah, and it could be even helpful for staff, because once we are on the same page, we know what you're telling them, I know what I'm telling them, and we can do a workshop maybe, and with building department, and we can come up with some ideas for building. You could talk to the actual community. You already talk to the community, and you know the pain points already probably. So we can come up with some FAQs for that area for the community, right? So it's just a starting point. Obviously, we can take it offsite and talk more and how we can actually tackle this, but it was just an idea that came up, and we thought, yes, this is something MEC could really add value to the community.
Absolutely. No, we would be very eager to help any way we can with this.
Perfect. So this is going to be a good long-term project, but I think if we put right resources and efforts into this will really help the Milton community.
Thank you for that.
Right. That's it.
Does anyone have any questions for Shubha? This was great.
Thank you,
for
Shubha.
sharing this with us.
Thank
It's
you.
fantastic. Always good to have you come share all the latest and greatest that you guys are working on.
Thank you.
All right. What's next on our agenda?
Equestrian facilities.
So our next item on the agenda would be subcommittee reports. And the first is equestrian facilities. I'll turn it over to Julie and Mac if you guys have anything.
No reports?
No.
No report? So one question I have, do we think, is there another, Birmingham Park's our facility, right? The Freemanville fields are great for meet the neighbors and, things like that. But do we see any other equestrian facility in our future? Do you guys
I
think
sure
that
would
is?
like to.
It's just
And you know
something
my thoughts
periodically I
about
just
that.
would like to bring up just as a brainstorm, just to say, hey, do we think there's another, project in the future that we should consider?
Well, I think it sort of depends on what the city wants to
Yeah.
pursue. I personally think I've totally changed my mind on whether we should have arenas that we can lease out to show managers to do shows. Because
You like that idea or you
I
don't?
do like that idea.
Okay.
At one point, it was passive use only, passive use only, passive use only. But looking at how congested our area is of backyard horse people and seeing how much traffic Wills Park is getting and has been getting for the length of its existence. And we've got 3 facilities shutting down within the perimeter of Greater Atlanta that host shows. So that's making less showgrounds available. And,
Besides chat, who?
What are those facilities? What are they?
well, Chad Hills is our biggest one,
Hmm.
but we've got two other small places that are.
Chicopee used to be,
Yeah,
and they're gone.
Chicopee gone,
Mhm.
and, huh? Well, they don't do any horse shows anymore. Yeah, that's it. You don't have a lot of traffic.
And the facility,
There's
that
not a lot of
facility's
facilities.
odd because there's a ring down the hill and
Right.
trainers have to go back and forth up and down a
Right.
hill, and it's not a level facility like Will's.
Right. And,
And chat's only good through the end of 2026.
I'm not even sure they're gonna make it to the end of 2024 because they've lost all their management.
Oh, wow.
So it's a real problem. And you've got show managers quitting, retiring. So you've got a whole changing of the guard going on. And we have a lot of equestrians going, we don't have any places to host horse shows. And Wills Park is jammed up completely.
I'm sure the
and
counters there's no opening anywhere in there probably for anything.
No.
Yeah.
And I don't think it has to be at the scale of what
No,
Will's Park is. It
no.
doesn't have to be able to house 350 horses, but, and I'm going to be bold and I'm going to say this again, and I know you guys have heard me say it over and over and over. We've got that property over at Hopewell Road that nobody wanted to put a park on, and it's already got a barn and it's got a ring that could be increased. It's floodplain. You can ride on it. There's a house we could redo as an events facility and rent out. We could offer layovers for people out of town. We could have a membership fee where people like me can take my horse over there and ride on a Sunday afternoon and pay $50. It doesn't have to be at the level of
No.
Will's Park.
What is it like if you wanted to take your horse over to Will's Park on a Sunday afternoon, if you could, what do you
I
pay?
do it all the
What
time.
do you have to pay to do that?
$50.
Well, I pay 25, but I'm kind of grandfathered in because I've been there forever.
I mean, would you really have to pay $50 just to go over there and ride?
That's what we charge
If you
people.
don't live here, definitely.
Well,
If you
no,
live-
Wills Park, they have a pass that you buy.
Okay.
It's like
Yeah,
$25.
you buy a city pass
Okay.
from the parks,
Not
Parks
bad.
and Rec. But
But 50 is
we
reasonable.
could do that. It would be an income stream too. I just don't understand why that property is just sitting there.
Well, keep in mind, the whole concept of passive use,
Right.
I mean, that is only tied to the green space bond, right? So, in theory, if the city were to purchase a piece of property with funds not part of the green space, there would be no limitation, right? Now, I don't know where the budget, I mean, I know the city just went through the whole budget cycle, so I haven't really studied that in detail at all. But I don't know exactly what the plans are for that Hopewell property. It was not purchased with green space money.
No, it wasn't.
No.
So,
And I do know of an
If the
owner that
funds are
has 80 some odd acres that back when Will's Park was being thought it was going to be bulldozed, there were you might know some real estate agents that were involved in talking to a property owner who was all on board for developing her property for a Milton facility like Will's Park. I mean, it would be fairly easy to open that dialogue again
right,
with that person.
okay. I think we should keep
I
pushing
mean,
on that.
essentially, if you want to run a local show, you need 4 rings,
Yep.
4 arenas.
Mhm.
That's all you need. You actually don't even need stabling if you're going to run like haul-ins. There are places all over Europe. There are places all over the Midwest. There are places everywhere that literally run an entire show with a show office and 4 rings. So you can make it as fancy or as not fancy as you would like.
Well, that was my question. Are there any private properties that have the capacity to host something like that?
You mean is
Acreage, you mean as
you
far as
mean
acreage?
it's more of a lease type situation versus an acquisition?
Mhm.
That's a great question. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I think it's worth exploring.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Well, then
I mean, I know that's usually our first line of defense is what private entity what business could host, make money,
Yep.
lease it, manage it. So it's the first line of defense, right?
Absolutely.
Because sometimes you can wait a lot of time to build something like that,
Mhm.
acquire the money, the land,
Right.
than stockpile the capital funds to build what you're looking for, right?
Mhm.
So anyway, I bring the question up and, maybe our facilities subcommittee, just give that some thought and we can brainstorm on that offline and just see, if there's some conversations to be had. So it's interesting to hear everybody's that's, supportive of an active equestrian facility, especially with these other places going away.
Well, and even if we just took our green space and built a ring there and charged people membership, I mean, building a ring is a pretty big undertaking. It doesn't have to be GGT footing and,
Yeah.
stuff like that. I mean, you can just have a good old M10 ring and the city would just need to, drag it every now and then and maybe put some sprinklers in so it wasn't dusty.
Yeah.
Which of you is on the green space, the green print committee? Aren't there a
None of us,
couple of you?
I've been to their meetings, but
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought we had 2 people from this committee and PRAB.
I'm not sure.
It wasn't Susan Kimball on it.
Maybe. I'm not
Maybe we
sure.
need
I
to
wanna say
revisit
it
this
was-
because the Green Space Committee defines what passive means. They are going to define
Yeah.
what does passive mean.
mhm.
And so if you want to have a presence on being able to express how equestrian could fit into that as being passive, I think it would be important for someone on your committee.
But I'm not sure we have any, other than Freemanville, I don't think there are any properties in our green space portfolio of properties that would be a turnkey fit.
No.
I mean, they're all.
Oh, no, I was
woods
thinking
and,
more if you put in okay, so
Property
let's
line,
say
it's all
they
flat.
determine you can't charge a membership, right?
Right.
If they determine anything that's passive means anyone can just show up, do the activity and
Oh,
leave,
gotcha.
right?
Okay,
So I think
okay.
it's important to have your voice there. You guys have a lot of experience. You've
Yeah.
been to a lot of these places. You pay those memberships when you go.
Mhm.
So just making sure you